We know that we want to cue people up to learn about thinking and learn about learning. And we know one of the reasons we want to do that is because we want to minimise the areas where we're simply neglecting the science we already have. We're neglecting it because, thinking isn't fashionable. So that would legitimise reflecting on the things that we don't do and don't know about learning, which would pave the way for the things that are coming down the line about enhancement, which clearly are coming with a whole lot of ethical issues.
What if we knew there was a little cocktail of things that were, as the market will be saying, mind improving? Well, the market's already saying that. There are pints of milk now being sold. They're going to make you smarter. They're omega-3 rich. What if there was enough neuroscientific consensus about what those things might be? Could you, as a government, knowing that, not do anything?
These things are going to happen. The market will make them happen. If you have an opportunity as a parent to make your child better, in whatever way that means, a significant proportion of parents will opt for that.
Only half the parents in a classroom would be giving this to their children. Of course, the other half parents would be looking like, well, you want to give your child equal opportunity, and that would go for within one school and within a country and between different countries.
If Singapore opted for a national project of child enhancement, for example, what would the world's response be to that? I think is really interesting.
And I think ultimately, at least one of the issues would be the balance of benefits versus risks and side effects.
A pill that might, for somebody, really help them to focus better. For another person, the same pill might have the opposite effect. It's different from curative medicine. If there is a system and it breaks, and you have some medicine that goes in and fix what's broken, it's a different challenge from taking a system that is not broken and trying to optimize it. So you need personalized cognitive enhancement medicine, I think. It's really very modest what we can do with current things. It's one thing to improve performance on some task in the laboratory where you have to remember where boxes are and for 20 minutes. But it's a completely other question task. Does taking this over a period of a year, will that improve your life, your grades? And it's much harder to study, but that's ultimately what we're interested in, obviously. I agree that the distinction between artificial and natural, the more you look at it, the more it tends to evaporate under your gaze. Even if there were one, though, I don't see why it would make any difference whatsoever for the ethical status of the technique. What could be more artificial than reading or simple manipulation or using computers? I think it's just we got to get over that. It's not helpful to be fixated on this apparent contradistinction between the natural and the artificial mean. We just got to see what works, what actually helps people learn better. And whether that's a chemical or whether it's the lighting in the room or a better teacher or a better formulated textbook or a computer simulation.
That's a pragmatist kind of world, isn't it?
I mean, if it works equally well and you look at what are the drawbacks, the risks, and these are also equal, I mean, what's the difference?
Well, I think that the substances that you're using, some naturally occurring, some extracted from species about to die, has a moral component.
As a nation, as a continent, we just haven't got this information. Are not able to make a judgment about what works and what doesn't work and what the consequences are. It's a vacuum, and into that vacuum, for sure, the market will march. It just seems to me that there's a lot of work that could be done that would just be helpful, that is completely uncontroversial, and probably significant compared to the speculative impact of some of the things that are further down the track.
If I could somehow have learning plugged into me, that would seem to stop the point of what I'm doing. But to some extent, maybe that's what Photoshop does. It allows me to produce stuff that I couldn't have produced as a tool. I don't know.
I mean, we have this also kind of cultural bias, I think we have, that doing things the easy way is somehow wrong. I mean, if you have to learn, you have to really put a lot of effort.
That's a Protestant ethic, though, isn't it? I mean, that you don't see that necessarily replicated in India, for example, where it's it's perfectly acceptable to get your brother to sit your driving test because it's a family thing.